Did you know there was a day when just 54 American soldiers woke up surrounded by mountains? And by sunset, they had fought off over 300 enemies, survived a collapsing base, and saved each other from certain death. This isn't a movie. This isn't a legend. This is the Battle of Keating, one of the most impossible last stands in modern U.S. military history. It was October 3rd, 2009, Combat Outpost. Keating, a tiny U.S. base built deep in a valley in Afghanistan, surrounded by high mountains on every side. Veteran soldiers called it a death trap. If the enemy attacked from the heights, there would be nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, nowhere to breathe. But that morning, something felt different. At 6 a.m., gunfire cracked from the mountains. Then more. Within minutes, over 300 Taliban fighters opened fire from every surrounding ridge. COP Keating was surrounded. Outnumbered 6-1, the base began to collapse, and the soldiers inside had one horrifying thought: we're not making it out of here. Artillery shells crashed into the barracks, machine gun fire rained from the hills, vehicles exploded, towers fell. The American soldiers split into survival teams, but the comms were failing. Flames spread fast. Ammo racks detonated in chain reactions. One soldier said, "It felt like the end of the world, and yet none of them ran. None of them surrendered. They moved, they fought, they adapted." The entire survival of the base depended on one thing: holding long enough for air support to arrive. Staff Sergeant Clinton Rumsha, calm under fire, rallied the men to push back into the burning base. Bullet fragments tore into him, but he kept fighting. Specialist Ty Carter sprinted across 100 yards of open fire, again and again, to bring ammunition to his team. Snipers had full view of him, yet he kept running. Multiple soldiers were shot but refused to stop. They knew that if one man quit, all of them would die. By late morning, enemy fighters pushed closer and closer to the wire. Some reached the perimeter. A few even broke inside the base. It was now house-to-house fighting, hand-to-hand at times, smoke blood fire. But the soldiers of Keating refused to lose the ground beneath their boots. Rumsha led a counterattack, pushing back the breach. Carter rescued a wounded soldier trapped near a Humvee. Engulfed in flames, others formed a defensive ring around the surviving troops. They were battered, exhausted, outnumbered beyond imagination, but not broken. After almost 6 hours, Apache helicopters finally arrived. One pilot said he'd never seen a base that destroyed yet. Still fighting bombers and jets followed. The tide turned one by one. Enemy positions on the mountainsides were struck by evening. The remaining attackers fled. 54 soldiers had held an entire valley on their own. 8 American soldiers gave their lives. Many more were wounded. But their stand became one of the most studied battles in modern war history. A textbook example of courage, unity, and survival against impossible odds. Staff Sergeant Clinton Rumsha and Specialist Ty Carter later received the Medal of Honor, the highest. But the men who survived say the same thing. The heroes were all of them, because none fought alone. Military analysts agree if Keating had fallen nearby, bases and villages could have been overrun. A chain reaction of attacks would have spread across Nuristan. Their stand didn't just save themselves, it saved an entire region. Their survival was a message. No matter how outnumbered, how hopeless, how surrounded, courage changes outcomes. This was the story of the 54 who stood their ground and refused to let a valley become their grave. Decode: the dark, real war, real heroes, real history.